It is a fun Friday afternoon here. Welcome to Gulfstream today. Welcome to beautiful Gulfstream Park, Ron Nicoletti, along with Acacia Courtney and Fast-Made Track Firm Turf Course. The Rainbow Six is starting to build, approaching $60,000 or thereabout.
Yeah, lots of fun things to get into today. And tomorrow we have 12 races. Want to remind you, too, tomorrow post time we'll be back at 12:45. But as you said, a really fun Friday ahead of us today. We have 9 races on the card this afternoon.
Yeah, and tomorrow, talking about tomorrow, boy, some big fields.
Yeah.
People that have to handicap it. So a fun way to wager, but full fields for Saturday. But nice card today on Friday. And let's go run through the wagering menu. And we're going to start it off in race number 1, Acacia, with early pick 5. And I know you'll have a ticket to show the folks in just a couple of moments. And you know what? The rolling super high 5 starts today in race 2.
Starts in race 2 today. We have a carryover in there as well, $1,927. Keep an eye out for that with any race of more than 7 horses.
I got just enough fingers to figure out that the Rainbow Six is going to start in race number 4 today with a 9-race card. As I mentioned, $58,000 plus. It'll be up near $100,000 very easily, and that is in race number 4.
Race number 4 in there, and then we round out the day with the late pick 5. It's 50-cent wager starting in race number 5. I'll have a ticket for that as well.
Well, let's go right to the first race on Friday afternoon. 6 furlong claimer for 2-year-olds, $20,000. We do have one scratch to let you know about, and that is the number 2 horse, Formal, has been declared out of race number 1, thus the rolling super high 5 starting in race number 2. And we're going to show you Acacia's early pick 5 ticket now, and then, oh, there you go, 4 deep.
4 deep in this opening race. This is a really tough one. It's one of those races that you can really just make an argument for nearly anyone. The one taking a lot of money right now is the number 7 on the outside, Greenhorn, for Wesley Ward and Cornelio Velasquez. I thought a couple other horses looked like they could be pretty live in this spot. My single came in race number 4 with the 2 India Terra Humara. We're going to show her most recent start and talk about that one a little bit later. But I thought a really interesting card today. Lots of good value options as well.
Yeah, well, let's start it off with the current 3 to 5 favorite, but a lot of time left. We have more than 55 minutes to the first race post, and that is Greenhorn, who's making his first start since drawing away Break His Maiden at first asking. That was against $25,000 maidens going 5.5 furlongs. It was right here on July 30th. The trainer is Wesley Ward. And what I liked about this gelding this afternoon is I like the way he's been training over the surface. So it looks like he's going to come back after that victory and have a chance to make it 2 in a row.
Yeah, I really liked him as well. He's certainly bound to have some early speed. Liked the way that he managed to pull away through the stretch last time out. I actually went with a filly on top, and there's 3 fillies in this race: the 1 Savannah Smile, the 3 Cabinet, and the 6 Unwavering Faith. And Cabinet, the number 3 horse that I landed on, she broke her maiden last time out really impressively. She won by 6.5 lengths. I think it was just a matter of finding the right spot for her, and when she was able to do that, I know that there had been a lot of hope for her earlier on. I know we had picked her in a couple of races prior to that. She finished a distant second to another nice Dan Kubisky trainee, White Gold, in her debut, and then she ended up backpedaling a little bit in her next couple of races, dropped to maiden claiming $16,000 last time out, and as I said, won by 6.5, but she earned a 53 buyer for that performance.
Well, the concern I had was the lack of any morning workout showing since that last one. You know, we maybe will have a published workout, but I didn't see any, with the past performance we used. So a little bit of a red flag for me. That was a really nice performance and beat the boys that day by 6.5 lengths. The race you were talking about on July 22nd. We just would like to see a couple more morning workouts, but certainly not going to leave this one off my ticket at all. And then I know you went with the number 1 in here, and that's Savannah Smile.
Well, this is an interesting one because she's had 3 starts so far. It's another one of the fillies. She debuted on the turf, and she got bumped at the start. She didn't have the easiest of trips, and then she didn't really finish up that solidly. Moved over to the dirt, and she broke her maiden that day with Cornelio Velasquez in the saddle. Then they tried the Florida Sire Stakes, where she was a big price, and it was a wet, fast track. She was very well beaten in there, but that was in a stakes race and on a wet track. So you have the one in the middle where she broke her maiden. I want to give you a stat on trainer Jose Pinchin with 2-year-olds in sprints in the past 5 years. 27 for 132, about 20% win, 55% of the time in the money, and a positive ROI of 233. And based off of that middle performance, which is what I'm really going off of, where she beat next out winner Israel's Dream. Yes, she's going to be in a tougher spot here today, but off that stat and that performance.
Yeah, you know, and I did not use that one on my ticket, but it's really hard to ignore any Jose Pinchin, you know, 2-year-olds that have been running it. She's had a fantastic summer meeting. With that said, I did leave it off the ticket because I had more interest in the 5-horse and third, and that's a homeboy Caden who's stepping up to face winners after using his speed to defeat 16 maidens, become the only participant in this whole field to ever win at 3/4 of a mile, 6 furlongs. So once again, going with the proven commodity and my old angle of asking somebody in a race that has done something in the past to do it again.
Oh, absolutely. That's definitely a big part of the appeal for homeboy Caden.
Well, let's go to race number 2 this afternoon. As we mentioned, this is where those first of the rolling super high fives will start. Race number 2, it's 1 mile, fast main track. Fillies and mares, 3 and up. Non-winners of 3 in life with 3-year-olds, $12,500. Got a clean slate in here this afternoon, and wanted to start it off with the number 2 in here, Sweet Medea, who's dropping to this 12-5 level. Oh, and you have it on top 2 there. We don't see our selections till we get up here, so I just want you to know that. On the dropping to the 12-5 level on the main track, first start since finishing 6th behind a pair of next out winners in a 30,000 claimer going a mile on the turf. I want to show you a stat on Stanley Gold. This one on Sweet Medea over the last 5 years, turf to dirt, 3-year-olds and upward. 12 for 67, 18%, 49% in the money with a $2.08 ROI. We talked about Stanley Gold yesterday. Doesn't do as well as he does with others on turf in sprints, but when he goes from turf to dirt, he's pretty solid.
Yeah, and when you have pretty solid numbers like that and a positive ROI as well, and if you look back at this horse's last 3 races since moving over to Stanley's barn, you have 2 turf starts, the first of which was pretty solid, but the middle one is the only dirt one, and that was a victory. So maybe she's getting back to the surface that she just prefers to be on, and she's in the right spot here. So I agree with you for those reasons. I use the number 7 Solfatara in second, and I think that she is an interesting one. Her last 2 starts were second place finishes. I want to go back and show the most recent of which, and she, I think that she's the number 6 there, and she was chasing very fast fractions in here. She was up with the number 1 Baby I'm Worth It, who they kind of bumped back and forth a little bit there. You see the 2 of them kind of a little bit of bumper cars in the stretch. Baby I'm Worth It managed to pull away, found just another gear that day. But it was 22-2 and then 44-3. You see very fast fractions up there, 109 and change. And I thought that maybe she got a little leg weary there. The Baby I'm Worth It just managed to be a better horse that day, as I mentioned, found another gear in there. And I think that Solfatara is definitely able to improve off of that performance.
Well, the stat I liked, 6 previous races at a mile and never been off the board at this mile distance. Only that 1 win, but 3 seconds and 2/3. So a good percentage at the 1 mile distance, actually 100% in the money, so you can't get better than that. Now, we flip-flopped those 2 horses, and I had Roriyama in second. This one should be primed and ready, I believe, to offer more. She returned from about a 2-month layoff to finish rallying third. It was against 10 optional claimers at the distance. It's Antonio Sano, Miguel Vasquez in the saddle.
Well, this horse, she's another one that seems to always be stuck finishing in the money. She got another win at 2 back where she won by 2.5 at this mile distance and then finished third last time out, though a pretty distant third at a stronger price. I think that this claiming level might be where she needs to be, but Roraima is certainly not one that you can leave off.
And once again, that's where a first of 2 pick 4 start and the first of our rolling super high fives throughout the afternoon. Now, race number 3 this afternoon is a 5 furlong turf sprint. These are claimers, 3 and up, non-winners of 2 in life or 3-year-olds. 6 runners will go to the post with no scratches or jockey changes in the race. And you went to the number 2 horse in here, a horse I did not use on my ticket, and that is Contractor Jack. And I want to hear why. We'll actually use it in 4th, but I'm talking about in the front end of the ticket.
I see. Well, I can understand you putting our Independence on top. I have a lot of question marks about that horse and had a hard time putting him on top. I know, yes, dropping in class, coming over to Gulfstream for the first time and the gelding, but there's so many gaps in that horse's race patterns. Lisa Lewis 0 for 32 this year. The barn hasn't been going that well. Just a lot of gaping question marks. Contractor Jack certainly is not a sure thing in this spot for sure, but has only had one race on turf so far, and that was the most recent of which. That's where he broke his maiden. He won by 4 3/4 lengths that day, showed some early speed, pulled away, open finish there, and his dirt start at his debut was pretty solid as well. He finished 3rd, so I don't think he's really done anything wrong as of yet.
Well, I really like the 3 in here because it comes out of a key race, and I don't know if you knew that. I'm sure you did. Now listed as a gelding, as you mentioned, is debuting locally after returning from an extended layoff to finish 5th behind next out winners Gentrify and our Ross J. Dog. That was a key $50,000 starter allowance going 5.5 furlongs. It was up on the Saratoga turf. One horse went back and won at Belmont, and the other one, Ross J. Dog, won at Saratoga. So I just thought off that performance there, and I like the fact that it's a recent gelding that this horse would be a major player in there. I know you have it on the ticket. I can understand the 2 contracted Jack, but I just thought this one stood out for me today. But I'm hanging my hat on that key race angle in there. And we both used the number 1 Besame.
Tyler Gaffleone going to be in the saddle. This horse is just 1 for 19, but I think in the rest of this field, certainly eligible to hit the board.
Yeah, that a second career victory has been very elusive, but if anybody can get it done, it's the connections of Antonio Sano and Tyler Gaffleone. We have our same superfecta up there, just boxed around different ways. The other one is the 4, Son of a Derby winner, debuting on the turf, adding blinkers back this afternoon after dueling for the lead and finishing 3rd against Simler, going 6 furlongs. On the main track, Dave Casson, Matt Rispoli. The surface changed today, but those horses had 15 previous races all in the dirt. Are they trying something new here just to see if they could wake the horse up?
I guess so, and they're putting the blinkers on. Certainly have to imagine that this horse will be on the front end. He's done that on the dirt, and we'll see if that carries over to the turf. Couldn't put him on top or higher than 4th for those questions, but I think he's certainly going to be on the front end.
Well, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the Rainbow Six today, which starts in race number 4. I told you I had enough fingers.
Next January, 12 horses, $1 million buy-in for a $12 million purse. It is the world's richest race. It is the Pegasus World Cup.
Welcome back, Gulfstream. Today, Acacia, Ron, we're going to look at my Rainbow Six ticket for this 4th race. 6 furlongs, maiden claimers, fillies, 2-year-olds, $12,500. We're going to have 8 in the field today, and I found it impossible to find a single through this progression as it goes on, and I got a $57.60 ticket. Stepped it up. I usually like to hang around that $43.20 level, and went 3 deep in here with the 1, 2, and 3. And I did use the horse that you singled on your early pick 5 ticket in here, so that's a good sign, I think. 2 deep, 2, 2, 3, and then in the last race, I thought that was a wide open affair.
Yeah.
We talked about that earlier. So the 4th race, let's hear about your single in the early pick 5, India Tarahumara.
You got it there, I think. Yeah.
I practiced.
We were practicing the pronunciation. India, now I got it wrong.
See, now you can't say it.
I jinxed myself. India Tarahumara has had 2 starts so far. She's going to add the blinkers on for the first time. In her debut, she finished 2nd. She was off a step slow and then had some traffic last time out. And I want to go back and show that race. This is from August 13th. She was boxed in with no running room early on. She's the number 3. And this is what we're going to show here. It's a little bit hard to see from this angle, but she just gets pushed out really far. She's got the green cap there. And you see that the horse next to her just pushes her way out into the center of the track. She's forced wide. So Who's Back was the name of that horse that day, who ended up finishing 4th. The jockey started to hit left-handed. India Tarahumara got pushed really far out, wasn't able to do better than 3rd there. It was a distant 3rd. I think she might have had a chance for a better running if she didn't have all that traffic trouble on top of being being boxed in early.
Yeah, she was the odds-on choice that afternoon.
Yeah.
Even before that, if you go back and look, she just steadied going up the backstretch a couple of times. So it was an eventful trip. As I mentioned, she was the odds-on choice and certainly looks like the one to beat in there. Now, number 3, Lady Cella, second sprinting on the dirt at this level back on September 1st, is going back to the main track, failing to get on track when facing 25 maidens. That was going 7.5 on the turf. Antonio Sano, Edgar Zayas. Looks like turf wasn't the right idea.
Turf seemed to be a failed experiment there, and she's had some solid finishes on the dirt. My biggest thing with her is that she's also had some disappointing finishes on the dirt. She debuted and was beaten by more than 19 lengths. She came back, she finished second. Then she was beaten by 12, and then she finished second by 8.5 lengths. So she's had some second place finishes, though they've been distant ones at that. So that's why I felt if I was going to single in the early pick 5, this would be the place to do it.
Well, Antonio Sano, the trainer's got a two-pronged attack here. The other horse is going to be the one, Anna Her Highness. And this one is stretching out to 3/4 of a mile after finishing a distant third against similar competition, going 5.5 furlongs last time out. And each horse we mentioned seems to set it up better for the horse that's going to be the big odds-on choice in here, talking about the number 2, India Tarahumara.
We practiced the name so much, got to keep saying it now.
Well, now that I practiced that much, you
Yeah.
saw my Rainbow 6 ticket. Now we're going to flip the page and go to race number 5, and we're going to take a look at Acacia's late pick 5 ticket in just a moment. Wait after I give you the conditions. 1 mile and 1/16 on the turf. Maiden claimers 3 and up, 12-5. Scratch the 2, scattered gold.
And we'll have my late pick 5 up now, and I went too deep here in this race. I did only go too deep in the last one that you said was a pretty wide open one, and I agree with you there, and this is trying to keep it affordable here. I felt there were some other spots that had to spread a little bit more, but I agree, totally impossible to find a single in here. I mentioned earlier, I think that there are some really interesting and competitive races, and that's where it does make it harder in this multi-race wagering. So try to get a little bit of a guide and keep it around the $48.
Yeah, I'm making a prediction right now. If the Rainbow 6 or this late pick 5 gets hit, it's going to pay decently because it's a wide open affair. So if you're into that Rainbow 6 mode or this late pick 5 mode and you have the balloons, you might want to go and dig down deep and try and get this done. With that said, we both have the one all hundreds on top of our ticket.
Well, this definitely looks like the horse to be in this field, and that's the key here. My biggest thing with this horse, you know that this is the thing that I always end up pointing out, is that his last 4 races have been in the money finishes. Hasn't been able to get to the winner's circle yet. Still a maiden after 6 starts. The most recent of which he was really far back and rallied really nicely. So I'm willing to go off of that performance. He finished 3rd, beaten about 4.5 lengths, but that was going the 7.5 furlongs. He's going to have a little extra ground on the turf now. But I think, as I said, based off of that last performance and how he rallied, he's going to be the one to beat.
Yeah, you know, when handicap races like this, and I'm sure everybody is, you're looking, you first say, where's the speed in this race? There is none. There's one horse that shows a little speed we'll talk about in a moment. So the one horse, I agree with everything you said, but this one's going to need some pace in front of it, and certainly it's going to be a suspect pace scenario, so might set up perfectly for a horse like all hundreds. Now, the number 5, Times the Essence, who has shown the ability to stalk the action at this distance, can turn out to be a major part of the pace puzzle. If the connections decide to send this horse early, I think he has a big shot because I don't see that much speed in here.
I totally agree with you, and I don't think that I think he's been forwardly placed in some of his previous starts, and I agree that if he ends up going to the front, and we've seen this happen before, when it looks like nobody's going to go to the front, everybody does. And when it looks like everybody's going, nobody goes. So that's always a situation that might turn out that way too. But Times the Essence has had some pretty solid finishes in his career. He's 0 for 10 so far. But I think based off of running at this level, he's stretching out again to the mile and a 16th. And that suspect pace scenario, that's going to be his biggest friend today.
Well, I was talking about the one horse for sure we think is going to be on the front end unless they change tactics, like you said. That is the 8 Stanowski. On paper appears to be the only horse in the field that I think will surely go to the lead. The obvious concern is the 0 for a 15 record, 17 record. This one seems to do a bunch of swan diving in the stretch, goes up there and backs up. He's going to be on the lead. He's going to take them as far as he can. And, you know, if they get him to lope along, he gets to, set some really nice fractions up front. He could steal this race at a bit of a price.
Yeah, if nobody goes up with him, I don't foresee that happening. I see him going out to the front with Times the Essence right behind him, and I think that he will end up fading. That's why I ended up putting him 4th and used the 3 looking over us in 3rd. Just trying to figure out how that pace scenario is going to go.
Yeah, so if you got the all button, you can afford it. Hit it right there because it's a tough race to figure out. The 6th race this afternoon, 1 mile maiden claim is fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, $10,000. Couple of scratches in here in a jockey change. Scratch the 2, scratch the 3, scratch the number 9 horse. The jockey change comes on the 5. And the rider is Jorge Ruiz. And wanted to mention that we had a jock fall yesterday, Roberto Alvarado Jr., and we said, oh my goodness, they took him away on a stretch. He looked, he's back riding until he's got 6 mounts. And what an amazing feat by these jockeys.
Oh, absolutely. they're true athletes. We said earlier, one tough cookie. So really happy to see Roberto Alvarado Jr. back aboard his mounts today, and he'll be riding. So that's not a mistake in your programs. And here in this race, we used the number 8, Toother Bell, who's actually 10-1 on the morning line, but I think with some of those scratches and just the way that this horse has run in her past couple starts, we're not going to get that kind of price on her. If you go to back, her best finish was actually against the boys in a maiden 10,000. She finished 2nd. That was her first start with blinkers. She really regressed last time out at the 7 furlongs. She was bumped early and then just didn't rally, but I think she gets a clean trip today with Emi Jaramillo aboard. First time in the barn of Victor Barbosa.
Yeah, let's show you a stat on that over the last 5 years. First start after a trainer change, 3-year-olds and upward. 3 for 10, a limited sampling, but 30%, 60% in the money with $1.66 ROI. So the barn has shown the ability to do just what this horse is doing today. And I was hoping we were getting 10-1 today. You know, I just thought this was a logical horse before the scratches, but you make a great point. Certainly with the, those 3 horses out, the odds are going to change.
And she's adding Lasix for the first time today, so that's another worthy note as well.
Number 4, Starship Sheba. This one is stretching out to a mile after following a 2nd place finish, going 7 furlongs. That was 2 starts back with a troubled start last time out. I just want to show you this horse's performance last time out, and you're going to see it from the head-on part here. This horse it's number 13. It was actually scratched, so it was the 12 that day, and just, goes out by the popcorn stand. And if you could see the pan shot of this horse is on the lead for a little while, and I just thought I wanted to go back and show you that performance, and ran, if you look at the race 2 starts back, wasn't a bad performance. So I just thought number 4, Starship Sheba, because of that unlucky break, drifting out a little bit, plus being in that far out post, certainly deserves another look today.
Yeah, I'm willing to give her a pass for that. My big question, I don't know if she can get the extra distance. I don't know if she wants to go as far as a mile. She ran solidly at the 7 furlongs to finish 2nd, but she was beaten by 6.5 lengths. So that's obviously a question there. But as I said, I'm willing to give her a pass last time out and try her again and put her 2nd in this field. Also use the number 1, Bookkeeper Marie, who's 0 for 13. But again, it's trying to get in this field who might end up hitting the board. She's moving back over to the dirt after several turf starts.
Well, I don't know about you, but I had the 3 Mini Channel as a big spot on this ticket right behind the 8 horse today. And that one, as we mentioned, is scratched. So I scratched into the 6. Silver Casino into my 3rd spot. This one's stretching out to a mile. Tracked the pace last time out. Finished a drifting 2nd against similar. That was going 7/8 of a mile. 7-pound apprentice there, Ryan Gazziter, in the saddle today. And one of these horses that I'm not positive about winning, but certainly can be somewhere on the ticket, as far as the Superfecta or the Rolling Super High 5 is, considered. If you want to use that horse, I think you can run well. With that said, we will go to race number 7, and this one is a 1-mile starter optional claimant for 3-year-olds and up, $10,000. 2 scratches in here, the 3 double judge and the number 6 Donegal Hall, and we got a couple of old buddies back in here, and one of them being the 2-horse Cheech Thunder, who's turning back to its most accomplished distance today.
Well, Cheech Thunder's 5-win streak was broken last time out as he was beat by 3 lengths by the number 5 in here, Chepstow, who won going 1 mile and a 16th on a sloppy track. So I think there's a lot that you can forgive Cheech Thunder for in that, and he got that win streak broken. We say it's hard enough to win back-to-back races, let alone multiple races in a row like he's done. He's just been really spectacular over the past couple months. I think he gets back to the winner's circle today.
I do too, and here's what the point I was trying to make. 10 starts at the distance with 4 wins. Now, the horse that beat him last time out, Chepstow, I thought was helped by the off-track. And if you look at this gelding's record at the distance, 4 starts, no wins, 2nd and a 3rd. So it looks like he likes the added distance, and this one's turning back to its best distance. So I'm in total agreement with the number 2, Cheech Thunder, turning the tables back on Chepstow in here. Now, Russian Greek is the morning line favorite. I have him on the ticket. I know you put him in 2nd.
Well, he's certainly certainly has some early speed. Tried the turf last time out and actually ran okay. Finished fourth. 2 back was the odds-on favorite and was pretty well beaten to be fifth, but that was against $25,000 optional claimers. I think it was a much tougher field that day. If you keep going back, he ran against $30,000 condition claimers and wired the field, won by more than 6 lengths. So I think he's now in maybe a little softer spot. He's got that early speed. It's certainly going to help out the number 2 Cheech Thunder, who's going to come running at him. The number 3 Double Judge looks like he was going to be the other prime speed in here, so that might actually set it up even more for Russian Greek to go out to the front.
Yeah, and when I did this, of course, you don't know who's going to be scratching the race, and I thought Double Judge set the race up perfectly for Cheech Thunder. So you make a great point there with maybe the pace scenario changed this afternoon, but Cheech Thunder, boy, what a great horse, what a hard-knocking campaigner. So you guaranteed you will see him running late. Whether he gets there or not, we'll find out in just a little while. The 8th race this afternoon, 6 1/2 furlongs. It's an allowance optional claimer, 3 and up, or an optional claiming price of $16,000. And we do have a scratching here of number 2, Rasta Rant. So we'll see how this race plays out. And on top, you have the number 8 horse in here, and that is Splash Rules. And I added this horse, grudgingly in the 4th spot. I want to know why you put him on his top spot.
Well, if you remember my late pick 5 ticket, I actually did go 4 deep in this race.
Right.
I thought it was a very wide open one. This is I think it's definitely the most exciting race on the card. It's just really, really, really nice runners in it here, and we're all over the place with our picks. So I landed on the number 8, Splash Rules. He's got quite a bit of early speed, and there is some early speed in here as well. This horse won by 4 lengths last time out against $12,000 optional claimers. Had a 2nd place finish prior to that. He really shook free last time. He ended up earning a 95 Beyer speed figure that day, and he just looks like he's in very good form coming into here today. Cornelio Velasquez is going to be in the saddle, and I think that there's a lot of things to like with him, especially coming from the outside post.
Well, if he runs the race again, I was of the mind that he was going to bounce off that performance, so that was my reasoning in doing that. Now, I would make a pancake bet against the 8 against the 3 in here, but I still haven't gotten paid for the previous pancakes from that other guy that you were working with last night.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't know you for pancakes.
Some other guy that was here. Number 3, Icatero, moved to the Terry Pompey bond. This one via the claiming route stretches out to 6 1/2. One race at this distance, a nice race. It was a victory, going 6 1/2 furlongs. Returned from the layoff to defeat $30,000 claimers. Won that race by 2 1/2 lengths. This consistent sophomore has never finished out of the money in his career. 5 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds, and a third. Proven commodity at 6 1/2 furlongs. I don't know what price he is on the board. 8 to 1. I think this is the way to go. We mentioned Roberto Alvarado Jr. Took a spill yesterday. No problem. Comes right back and runs again today.
Well, there's absolutely nothing to knock about this horse, and he even ran well to finish 2nd on the turf in his 1 turf start. Had a good track last time out before being claimed, and Terry Pompey doesn't claim very often. If you look actually at the bottom, this is first off the claim of 6 runners, and she hasn't been able to have a win out of that. But that being said, I think she's a very sharp trainer, and this looks like she's a horse who's really coming in good form. That just goes back to my point that this is a very competitive race with a lot of interesting runners in it, and that's how I ended up leaving this one off. The other point was that I thought that this was a horse that might end up showing a little bit more speed. The number 4 Maritime Pulpit is one that I think can stalk really nicely, and that was really appealing for me. Won last time out on a wet track going 7 furlongs and had a good third prior to that, and as the favorite for sure. And I think that this is another spot where we'll be able to sit just beyond the pace.
7 horses in the field. We gave him 5 different horses, not counting the one and the 1 and the 8. So we'll see how this works out. The other horse I used was the 6-horse Scam, is going back to the main track after its 2-race win streak against similar quality ended when he failed to produce a rally. But that was $25,000 optional claimers. That was going 5 on the turf. Simple, handicapping. Looks like this horse likes to run better on the main track.
Well, the one horse that we are in agreement with in the same spot is the number 1 Asterisk, and we have to talk about this one because this is the horse that we both put in third, but I really think might be the one to surprise everybody in here. 12 to 1 on the morning line. Ran pretty solidly off of about a 10-month layoff last time out and finished behind 2 next out winners named Ranger in Paradise and Tenango. I want to go back and show that most recent start. This was against $16,000 optional claimers on September 2nd. Again, he's the number 4 in here. Again, that was off of about a 10-month layoff. layoff. He was in the back, he rallied, he had to go about 4 or 5 wide, and I think that it was a really steady move. Again, he was coming off of a big layoff. I think you can forgive a lot there. He has the rail here today, and that's going to be the biggest thing here. It's not one that's going to go out to the front. If he gets boxed in and has to go wide again, I don't know if he'll be able to do it there. He's a really nicely bred horse here. The Dam was a graded stakes placed horse, 3rd in the Grade 3 Schuylerville. This horse is actually a full brother to multiple graded stakes winner Dialed In, who's really proved himself as a freshman sire as well. Of course, he won the Florida Derby and the Holy Bull right here. So nicely bred horse. He's got that rail post, though.
You know, we talked about this before we came on the air. I think this is the right horse in here. You know, we had our selections done, but we kept looking back and saying, boy, Asterisk, boy. And I guess maybe we were flat, you know, our eyes well opened up wide when we saw 12-1 on the line. I think this horse is going to run very well. Let's go quickly to our 9th and final race. 7.5 furlongs on the turf. Maiden Claimers, 3-year-olds, and up with another wide open affair in here. You went with the inside horse in here. You have the inside horse in here with the number 1 horse in here. I didn't change my 10 Saints, who's my long shot today, and you got it right on top.
Well, I do, adding the blinkers and dropping in class, and tried the turf for the first time last time with a bit of moisture, so willing to give him another shot today.
Yeah, I went with the 2 Champierre Spot, who should have the screws tightened after returning from a layoff, debuting on the turf, dueling for the lead, fading to finish 5th at this level and distance. Tyler Gaffleone, I think this horse runs well second time. I know you used the number 9 horse in second, and that is Toro Coron.
We gotta practice that one a bit more. Use the number 9, and also threw on the number 8, Summer Scamp. Want to give a quick stat as we wrap up on trainer Giuseppe Iadiscernia. In the past 5 years, with horses going dirt to turf in maiden claiming races, 8 for 35, 23% win. In the money 46% of the time, and look at that ROI, 454. So definitely had some big prices in there. You might get a price on Summer Scamp. Certainly one to look at for your super high 5.
Yeah, we're running late. We had an awful lot to talk about this afternoon because these races are very wide open. So good luck with all your picks. We're about to turn it over to track announcer Pete Aiello, and that it was the pancake guy I was alluding to, and we'll see you back here in about 20 minutes or so.
Good luck today, everybody.
What do I love about horse racing? Everything.